everybody! I'm here today to tell you why you should use the parking brake before shifting into park. Now, there has been a huge debate about this for many years. Basically, as long as automatic transmissions have been around, there's been a huge debate about this. When you're parking a car, should you put it in park first and then use the parking brake? Or should you use the parking brake first and then put it in park? And I'm here today to settle that debate. I'm going to tell you why you should use the parking brake first and then shift into park. Parking brake before shifting into park. Well, basically, it can be summed up like this, and then I'm going to explain it in a more thorough, detailed way. If you're parking on a hill, like if you're parking on a flat surface, it doesn't really make much of a difference, okay? But if you're parking on a hill, the weight of the car will be resting on the parking brake instead of the transmission components or the parking components, as long as you use the parking brake before shifting into park. So let's say I'm parking on a hill, okay, and I push the brakes, I come to a complete stop, I turn on the parking brake, then I put it in park, and then I turn the car off and get out. What's going to happen is the weight of the car is going to be resting on the parking brake, which actually is much stronger and is a much better grip on the wheels than the parking components, which is something called the parking pawl. The parking pawl is just a little pin that goes inside of the wheel component that, prevents the car from rolling. That's why when you put it in park, you still feel the car roll a little bit before it stops. Now, this parking pawl is just a little pin, whereas the parking brake, the emergency brake, is like squishing it in, really holding it firmly, okay? So it's better to get the weight of the car resting on that parking brake than the little parking pawl pin. And if you use the parking brake first, then the parking brake will be holding the car. Then, you put it in park and get out. The parking brake is what's holding the weight of the car. Now, on the other hand, let's say you're parking on a hill. You put the car in park, you release the brakes, the car rolls back, all of the weight is now resting on that little parking pawl pin, okay? And then you pull the parking brake, which just makes sure that you don't roll away. But the weight of the car is still resting on that pin, okay? And that's why, and it's gonna wear out faster. That's why you should always use the parking brake before shifting into park. Now, realistically, the practicality component of this is that obviously if you're parking on a flat surface, there's not a lot of the car's weight resting on anything, so it doesn't really make a difference whether you use the parking brake first or the or shifting into park first. Okay, so by parking brake, I'm talking about the emergency brake, just so that is clear. So if you're parking on a flat surface, it doesn't really make the difference. It doesn't really make a difference. Or the other situation is if you are the type of person, and this is what I do, that holds the brake down until both of those are done, both the emergency brake and putting it into park, then it doesn't make a difference either, because your brakes are holding the car from rolling anywhere. And then if you shift into park first and then do emergency brake, or vice versa, you do the emergency brake first and then shift into park, your brake is still making sure that no weight is being placed on that parking pawl pin, okay? So basically what you want to do is this. If you're parking on a flat surface, it doesn't really matter, but I would still recommend building the habit of using the parking brake first, the emergency brake first, because it's going to make sure that the majority of the weight of your car is resting on that parking brake, that emergency brake that is squishing in nice and tight against the wheel components, making sure that it doesn't move and doesn't place a lot of weight on anything that it's not supposed to. And that will extend the life and prolong the life of your transmission components and your parking components. So what you want to do, if you want to have the car for a long time, doing this little thing, and let's face it, you're probably going to use your parking brake, your emergency brake, and shift into park no matter what. So you might as well just do it in the right order. If you're going to do both, no matter what, you might as well just do it in the right order, simply because it's going to extend the life of your vehicle, of your parking components like the parking pawl pin, and of your transmission components. And obviously, if you want to have your car for a long time, that's what you have to do. It's as simple as that. So that's basically it. That is why you should use the parking brake before shifting into park. Hopefully, I made it somewhat easy to understand. I know I speak quickly, as you've probably learned by now, but hopefully it's easy to understand. Basically, to sum it up, if you use the parking brake, the emergency brake, before shifting into park, the weight of the car, if you're parking on a relatively steep hill, is going to be resting against the emergency brake, which is much better than resting against the parking pawl pin that happens when you shift into park. Hopefully that sums it up for you. And that's it. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. I don't know why I'm warming up my hands so much. Be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great car and driving videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.